if they can win this game one, the amount of confidence that will give them beating a team like Shopify and one of, if not their best game types, is everything. And at least putting up as good of a fight to make you feel like you're right there with the powerhouses that are the Shopifys, the Optics, whatever, is the first stepping stone that they have to get across.
Well, I can't wait to find out what is going to happen on the main stage. And two guys who are going to be letting you know exactly what is happening as it happens are our two wonderful casters. We've got Shozy and Gaskin on the mics. Fellas, Shopify versus Cole. Big underdog story here for Cole. Can they push forward?
Thanks so much, Dottie. It's going to be a pleasure to watch this one. I think for Complexity, it's going to be a difficult one. The odds are well and truly stacked against them, Dan. Coming into this season, they haven't really placed outside of the top 12 all year. Different teams, different aspirations, ambitions, but for Complexity, a series like this, map one, they spoke about on the desk, it's going to be massively important.
Yeah, Salt Lake City 2024, when we last saw Complexity finish higher than top 12. Good news is RyaNoob was on that roster. They got top 6, and this now new iteration of Complexity, it's been built for quite some time, trying to find the right pieces, the right puzzles, but now they finally found a team that they are sticking with for this event. Sadly, they are coming up against Shopify Rebellion here, the #1 seed, in a series layout which is very much not in favor of Complexity. You heard the desk talking about it. It gets from bad to worse the further you go through it. If you get into game 4 and 5, Complexity have not won either of those maps and mode combinations so far this year. So you really have to win this game 1. The desk is saying it'd be nice to win game 1. You can't afford to lose game 1 because if it gets to 4 and 5, I don't think there's any chance for this Complexity roster. It feels like it has to be a 3-0.
And with map 1 being so important, it's almost a level playing field for these teams. With it being the latest map mode combination to be introduced, with Lattice being the freshest one here, players like RyaNoob, he thrives on finding metas, finding little things that maybe other players miss. And with teams being so under-practiced on this map, is this actually the best opportunity for them?
Yes, I think there's definitely consideration there because RyaNoob is one, and his teams are often ones who they kind of define metas at times. He does come up with things, he creates things, but it's strongholds at the end of the day. At its core, it's still just playing strongholds at a certain pace. And you saw the statistics. Shopify Rebellion are unbelievable at strongholds. And when you look at those 4 gentlemen, like, they could go on any map, any mode, and perhaps never have even played it before, and I would still somewhat back them just because of their outright gun skill and chemistry. It is hard to go against Shopify Rebellion here. They are the #1 seed for a reason, and they will be looking to 3-0 this entire series.
And something Snipedown talked about on the desk is how RyaNoob's teams typically are rigid, sometimes too rigid, and don't capitalize on space and pace, particularly in some game modes. And with Strongholds being one of our fastest modes, Shopify Rebellion, they can pick up the pace whenever they want. They can change gears. Do Complexity struggle with that?
There is something to be said that in Strongholds you can capture just the 2 and you can kind of hold off, and it is a long and grindy game, but it is possible. That being said, if then Shopify Rebellion gain the lead a little bit and start to create the pace and Complexity, will they get lost in the source and maybe won't be able to regain control?
It's our first seed up against our 9th, our reigning defending champions in Shopify Rebellion, up against Complexity, who are going to try and be a little more than an irritation. They really want to try and upset the apple cart here, take game 1, push us into that Slayer, have a little bit of confidence, but it's all to do for them. They've not had the best of starts typically, but with the Pro League just behind us, Dan, there is some hope and there is some expectation that maybe this series won't be as easy as it could be.
Might not be as easy, but at the same time, Shopify Rebellion are always a confident roster, and that sniper rifle is going to be huge here on this map. You already saw on the Bravo stream earlier how influential the sniper can be on Lattice, and we'll have to see who can get the hounds on it first, because in my opinion, is anything to go by. Complexity do not want to allow the likes of Frosty, the likes of Royal 2 to be getting hold of that thing, because they will put it to work.
On the other side of things, when you're talking about a sniper rifle, there are very few better than Mental with the precision weapon in his hands, with the scope. Our shields are up, our weapons are about to be hot. We'll be underway very soon, folks.
Here we go. Can we see Complexity get an early lead and get those 2 strongholds that they can then capture and hold on to and maybe show a little bit of control? Or are we going to see Shopify Rebellion out of the blocks fast and showing how to kind of bounce between these 3 strongholds? Certainly, beginning will show Complexity have got hold of 2.
The 2 you typically want is A and B. C is a little bit more difficult to try and get that triple cap. The strongest 2, the easiest to hold, is A and B. That will be the ones these 2 teams will try and prioritize. And with 2 members of Complexity going down now, A and B are now in control of Rebellion.
And there's that sniper rifle, and we're going to get to witness just how influential it can be on this map. The angles you take, the positions you can find, change the game here, even if you're just tagging bodies, but Royal 2 does confirm 1 kill.
1 kill, 1 body shot connects. Mental then perhaps able to pick up remnants of a sniper rifle there.
Spawn there, by the way. Just curious. Looked like he might.
Interesting spawns aside. Mental, as however fortunate he may be, Complexity flip the script. They now control A and B and they start to score. Good response from them. I'm not trying to let Shopify Rebellion build too much of a lead and too much momentum.
And whilst I may have spoken about a couple of players from Shopify Rebellion when it comes to the sniper rifle, don't forget that plenty of players on Complexity can do that as well, as 4 do go down on the side of Complex, and now Shopify Rebellion looking to go for the trip cap, and this is where it could get ugly. Spawns can be quite difficult, and especially if you get put into a situation where you're on a little bit of a staggered spawn, but Complexity do break out well here.
First time I've ever heard Complexity abbreviated to Complex, and I like it.
Yeah, I couldn't be bothered to say the whole org, and I do apologize to Complexity. I should.
We're not paid by the word over here, Dan.
That's true. I'm not paid by Complexity.
Not paid by the letters. A and B, again in control of Rebellion. Engagement's going down, Cykul will fall. The 3 members of Complexity will be traded out. It's a 2v1 on the map now. Cherished last man alive for his team, but unfortunately for him, he's going to have to just wait, try and stay alive. Just dropping towards B. Good to get 1, but that's all.
Good aggression off spawn from Complexity each time. They're not taking too long to make a decision about which stronghold they want to go for. When you speak about a team being rigid or potentially being rigid, there's always that worry that they might be slow with their decision making, but that's absolutely not the case. Although Complexity do find themselves over 50 points behind here, they are at least trying to take the game to Shopify Rebellion and not allowing Rebellion to set up easily.
There's a Sanghili over my shoulder then. It's a very impressive set of armor. Very impressive gameplay from Royal 2. Currently sitting 7-2 and 4. Still some work to do though. 106 points in climbing, 3 dead again for Complexity, and it's just Rebellion starting to pull away now.
It's just the natural teamwork and chemistry that we're starting to see from Rebellion. Always backing each other up, not letting any man get left behind. Type of situation, this is a nice double out of LastShot. Again, that last remaining player just coming up the ramp and almost catching the sniper rifle off guard yet again.
B looking to transfer for Cykul. Controlled now by Shopify Rebellion. B and C, A being threatened as well. The collapse is coming. KingNick was in big trouble, no longer a part of the equation now. RyaNoob will step inside B just to turn the attention of Rebellion over towards that direction, but unfortunately for him, he falls along with his teammate Cherished. A lot of work to be done here, but Rebellion just seem to be doing whatever they want right now.
Just look how they move around the map, listening to the callouts of where those spawns are, and Complexity on the staggered spawn are literally spawning up, and they are dead within seconds because Rebellion are right in their face, and this is how you control Lattice. 3 strongholds in their favor, and Complexity, now they are starting to scramble. They are really struggling to get out of their positions.
It'll be so difficult to deal with the pace of play. You've got 4 guns this strong in the opposition. Complexity are struggling. Managed to take care of Cykul and Royal 2 though, so that will mean that the pressure is eased just a touch. They won't be under so much pressure. KingNick continues to jiggle fire, jumps out, soars out. LastShot though elsewhere will get that kill. So teamwork again. The bait and switch comes into effect, and now Shopify Rebellion will capture B again. A potential trip cap on the cards here, and this game is very quickly running out for Complexity.
Yeah, it would be a comeback of all comebacks if we were to see Complexity get back into this one. Shopify Rebellion, in my opinion, just far too experienced and far too good to allow that to happen. But there is a moment of hope. 4 dead on the side of Shopify. And now Complexity, it's the age-old cliche. They have to play some perfect Halo.
All out of errors, all out of mistakes. Has to be flawless from here on out. Cherished put down a little bit of damage, just a little bit of poke damage to pull up to stay alive though. Re-engage at a different time, being shot in the back now, down to no shields. That information will be passed along. 2 go down, Cykul and Frosty combine. Get a couple of kills. 3 dead now for Complexity, make it 4. Rebellion will start to take control of the map once again.
A and C are going to be in control, so Complexity need to be full sending it to one of them very quickly. It looks like A is going to be the target here, but they've got good angles to Shopify Rebellion, but at the same time, they're in no rush to really take the fight and force a 4v4 engagement. They can start to move around the map and move towards other strongholds instead.
One thing we haven't seen be much of an influence so far is the sniper rifle. Royal 2 had it a little bit in the early game, but there hasn't been much from it since then. So Rebellion have not even needed to really use it. Complexity are in big trouble here in map 1. We spoke about how important this is in the series layout for Complexity to start strong here, and it just hasn't happened thus far.
Maybe take it again. And if Complexity split here, if they try and go for C and A, it could be the end of this game. We really need to be working together to ensure they get one back.
Cykul gets one, disappears. 2 members of Complexity inside A. They will plant their feet, they will score. 3 members of Shopify Rebellion close in now. RyaNoob good for 1, but that's all again. Cherished tries to stay alive, but A and C now in control. They're running out of time, they're running out of points. Shopify Rebellion closing in on a game 1 victory, and they do secure it. Different class, different gravy.
Yeah, that's a brilliant display from Shopify Rebellion on a new mapping mode in the HCS. Of course, while we may have seen it in other tournaments, it's the first time here. An official HCS LAN, we get to witness it, and yeah, that looked quite simple for them. A late comeback, I'd say, a little bit of fight back towards the end of Complexity, but just far too late in the game. They needed to have a bit of an earlier start. But it was just the trip cap and the aggression. You saw even briefly at the end there where they took A, Cykul pushed ahead and he pushed into the spawners because he just knew. You have to keep them out, you have to keep them away. Sometimes that's just about going head on against them.
Taking a look at the statistics, speaking about going head on against them, it was Cykul 21-7 with 11 assists with a 17.7 KDA. Let me say that again, 17.7. Cykul, very impressive performance.
Say it one more time.
17.7.
Still sounds just as good as the first time, but we can check back at some of the highlights of this game. But honestly, it was mainly in favor of Shopify Rebellion. As you were mentioning, sniper rifle, we didn't see much of it on our screens, but when it was picked up, it was just tagging bodies, it was doing damage, and for the most part, it was in favor of Shopify Rebellion. But once they had about a 100-point lead, they were just focusing on playing together, looking for spawns, and not allowing Complexity to get any real control on the map. And sadly, Complexity, they just fell to that. They fell victim to being punished every single time off spawn. They were outpaced, and they were outclassed, they were outgunned in game 1.
And sometimes you think about what are the advantages you can gain. You put these 8 players in the lobby. Shopify Rebellion have the players who are a little bit more precise, a little bit better with their gun skill. How do you find the advantages elsewhere? It's picking up the sniper rifle. It's finding, maybe picking up the QT so you can bounce from place to place, and we just didn't see that from Complexity. Shopify Rebellion made that look easy at times.
I don't think Complexity had the chance, if I'm honest. Shopify Rebellion were almost bullying them at times. But game 2 is going to be Slayer Livefire. Now this is an okay mapping mode for Shopify Rebellion, 5-3 across the season. As for Complexity, it's 1-2 through their different iterations of whatever. But again, this is a must win. I think I personally think maybe the series could already be over just by what we have coming up in the series layout, but at the same time, practice is something that can change. You know, yes, you might be 0-3 across the season so far, but it could be a game type you've worked on very heavily throughout scrimmage. So we'll have to see if we get that far. But this Slayer, you know, you feel like if Shopify Rebellion playing the way they are, they go 2-0 up. It's hard to come back from.
And it is something we see in the downtime between tournaments where teams will work on the game modes and the maps that they were struggling the most on. So if you're 0-3, you know you're looking at that more. It's under more scrutiny than maybe others. So some of your weaker maps get a little bit stronger, and your stronger maps can maybe get neglected just a touch. And maybe that's something Complexity have been working on.
But is a stronger mapping mode good enough to take down even just an okay mapping mode on the side of Shopify Rebellion? The reason why Shopify Rebellion are the #1 seed is how consistent they are across every single mapping mode. It's very difficult to find a bad game type, really, for Shopify Rebellion because they are so well practiced and so well versed on everything they come up on.
I always have that quote in my head, our best is better than your worst, from Nick, where he says, wait, he's flipped it. But Slayer Livefire on the horizon. Rebellion hold that 1 map advantage, 2 away from a clean sweep. Complexity still have a lot of fight left in them, but the series layout, the desk spoke about it, Dan spoke about it, statistically it's not looking good.
Not looking great, but you can turn it all in favor for yourselves here on game 2. If you can maybe get an early lead and assert some dominance here. Because you look at the Complexity team and like all 4 players, incredible in their individual fights. I mean, I wouldn't be worried about it, but that's the difference that is made here in Halo Infinite, is we know everyone can shoot a gun. We know everyone is going to hit their shots. They're going to hit their 5s, but it's about where's your teammate? Who's got an off angle? Who's supporting you? Is there a sniper to watch over you? Are you fighting over an overshield? Fighting over a camouflage? It's all the differences that are being made elsewhere rather than just pure gun skill.
Sometimes it's about gun skill, but there's nuances to it, there's levels to the game. Dan mentions it, positioning, pace, speed, and sometimes just having that clutch factor. Cykul, Royal 2 will open this up, but will be answered back by Cherished and KingNick. So 2v2 on the map right now for just a moment, as KingNick had a little furry grenade hanging out of him, fizzling and sizzling, and he gets taken care of.
Interesting, but it's not as quick of a start as maybe we've seen from Shopify Rebellion. Sometimes their starting strategy absolutely annihilates other teams. Speaking of annihilation, Frosty has been unbelievable this year, and after the team changes that came through, we didn't really know where Frosty was going to end up. But then as soon as this team was formed, you just looked at it on paper and you're like, you know what? I think it could work. And it just breathed new life into Frosty, and it's been incredible to see what he's done this year.
Adapting to life as an IGL as well. Finally getting his hands on that elusive trophy in Salt Lake City. You know they wanted it, they came so close time and time again to finally secure it and lift it, a weight off your shoulders, because the issue that these top teams have, Dan, is winning is an expectation. So when you win, it's like, okay, well, that's what we planned for. But when you lose, it's just nothing but sadness and depression.
Yeah, it's been very up and down, really, for Shopify Rebellion. You think back to Arlington, 2nd place, then Dallas, 4th place, and I think that would have been their worry. When they hit the 4th spot, you think, all right, are they going to be able to bounce back? But then they finished 1st, and it does just change everything. And of course, we had the Pro League as well, the LVT Pro League, where they were able to go on and win that. So technically, back-to-back now. And they won the KSAT, like, to start off. So it has been a real roller coaster season.
They have seen success, but the issue is the prestigious tournaments had eluded them. They'd won the online stuff, they'd won the Pro League stuff, and when the major finally gets secured, now all of a sudden you know what it takes to get the job done.
You're always going to want one more. It's the World Championship. That's what they're going to be looking at in Seattle when it comes to the end of this month. Shopify Rebellion will want their names on that trophy, embedded in history in the HCS. But of course, they're going to have Optic Gaming breathing down their necks. But speaking of breathing down necks, Complexity are doing just that to Shopify Rebellion right now. 18-17. It is still a close one here as Camo's about to spawn.
Keeping it nervy, keeping it tense, keeping it tight. That's exactly what Complexity need to do. Little bait and switch. Rebellion trying to secure that camouflage. They've done so, but Frosty's in a bit of a precarious position now. Isolated, goes for the melee. Unfortunately for him, he didn't really need to and almost reveal his location. But the Slays have gone in their favor, and now Frosty can look to have an influence elsewhere. Cherished and Mental combined to get a couple of kills before one fell. So a 3-kill difference between the two teams, and it's Rebellion in the ascendancy.
You can't allow Frosty to get away with that. You have to be honest. When you've got him down to no shield, and you know he's in picking up that camo, I feel like the team has to be working hard just to make sure that he doesn't get away, because otherwise you get the sniper rifle, and even though in this instance it hasn't really punished them too much, you could see Frosty go on a killing spree, for example, and it changes the game. And it has still ended up that Royal 2 has the sniper rifle, so all these things add up.
The whole time you were saying that after Frosty died, I watched Royal 2 crouch down, wait for his shields to come back, and I just knew the sniper rifle was exactly what he wanted. He just needed to wait until he was healthy enough to go pick it up.
It's like a relay race in the moment with a sniper rifle, and everyone on Shopify Rebellion can hit their shots, but now it's the chance for Cherished. Another player I'm a big fan of, and kind of waiting for his big moment, I'd say, on the main stage, whilst he's had some incredible ones over the years. I think taking this Complexity roster and getting out of that rut of top 12 would be big for all 4 of these players.
And it wasn't long ago before he was dropped from that TSM roster. And they went on to see a little bit more success, so you know he wants to push this team further. For KingNick, he's really had a great uptick in performance and in form these last few events, maybe even since the start of the season, it must be said. Very impressed with what he's been able to do. But they just need to be able to piece it together in these series, cause the upsets, and push yourself a little bit further than maybe everybody else expects.
And we found the problem with KingNick. He just needed his RyaNoob.
Yep.
You take RyaNoob away from KingNick and suddenly he turns into a different player. And it sounds silly, but just having that comfort next to you, someone that you're familiar with how they play, chemistry is everything, and KingNick has looked a different player alongside RyaNoob once again. But is it going to be enough to overcome this deficit now, because you are 7 kills behind? Complexity haven't really been able to take control of the map. It's been a bit of a back and forth, and it's another camo going in favor of Rebellion.
Last one didn't have too much of an impact. Frosty wasn't able to get too much going. He didn't really need to, though. That was the issue. They already had an advantage. It was a 3-kill lead at the time. It's only grown since then. And it's almost getting to the point where it's out of control, out of hand for Complexity. And we feared and we worried about the series layout. We spoke about how games 1 and 2 were so important, but Shopify Rebellion putting in a really professional performance.
6 more. You can't really see Shopify throwing this one away, and it's a very professional performance, as you've said. I think that Shopify Rebellion are looking like a championship form team yet again. And with only 2 more kills required, Complexity probably starts to put the pads down and think about game 3. Not literally, but they'll think about it.
This one's beyond them. They know that. It's when, not if. The 50 kill will be locked in, and it's going to be by Frosty. Shopify Rebellion now 2 games up against Complexity. And perhaps the series is going exactly as we expected and exactly how Shopify Rebellion intended. Complexity just have not shown enough to really be a threat here.
But this isn't the target for Complexity. Let's be honest. We know it, they know it, you know it. Their sights will be firmly set on TSM. And you mentioned it. There's a little bit of bad blood there. There's a little bit of history with some of these players. And it's 8th versus 9th seed, which in theory should be the tightest game, one of the tightest games we have in pool play. And maybe Shopify Rebellion is just that one step too far at the moment. Now, Complexity would have come into the tournament thinking, you know, we want to win it, as everyone always does. But when games start to happen like this, you just have to respect what you're going up against. And I think they know full well that Shopify Rebellion roster is the real deal.
You know, you speak about bad blood, and I think it only depends. I think every player can almost have a rivalry or some bad blood with somebody. It just depends on how far you look back. There's been people dropped, there's been people outperforming others. You're watching other teams lift the trophies, you're envious of that, you're green, you want to be the one doing it. There's always motivation to beat the player sitting across from you. You know Cherished has plenty of it if it's going to be up against TSM.
You are right. I mean, outside of the top 3, there's been so many team changes across the years. Everyone's tried some sort of formula, some sort of I feel like everyone's teamed with RyaNoob at some point. It's almost just a rite of passage that you have to play with RyaNoob to get to the top. Because RyaNoob was there once. Once upon a time, we did see RyaNoob win the LAN.
I think you either have to play with RyaNoob or beat RyaNoob.
Yep. Otherwise, you get buried. And that was something that did happen, sadly, in Game 2. Complexity got a little bit buried by Shopify Rebellion. Same could be said for Game 1. Just overwhelmed them with the sheer amount of presence on the map. Great map control, good use of ensuring they got the sniper rifle, ensuring they got the camouflage, and it does bode well for CTF Forbidden. Now, this is one of Shopify Rebellion's better maps when it comes to CTF as well. They are 5-1 across the season. Just seen the 1-1 for Complexity, so hard to really take anything apart away from that.
The way you spin that is both teams have lost 1 game.
Both teams have lost 1 game. We have more data on Shopify Rebellion. We know Rebellion are good at this. For Complexity, it's more of a question mark. It's can they beat Shopify Rebellion on one of their better games after they've struggled against some of Shopify Rebellion's okay games? My answer would probably be no, but I'm always optimistic, and I always want to see more games of Halo, so you know what? Screw it. We're going to a game 4.
And I think if it's Shopify Rebellion, you spoke about how games 1 and 2 were a bit of a burial. I think those 4 players will be handing over 4 shovels to Complexity and saying start digging, because we're not looking to push this series any further.
I think CTF Forbidden is very unforgiving as well as a map and mode. If you do go 1-0 down and the other team has control, it's very easy to get deflated. You struggle to get back into the game. You try and push, you try and grab a flag, then you find yourself out of position, you lose map control, and then suddenly the overshield's in their hands. Oh no, they've got 2 snipers, and it's 3-0 and you've lost. So it does very quickly snowball out of control if you're not careful. So you really need a solid strategy here if you're Complexity, and that goes right from the start. From starting strat, you need to ensure you're getting that sniper rifle, putting it in the hands of someone who you trust that can hit the shots to watch over either A, overshield, or go and take that fight head on with the opposition sniper.
The name of the game is Capture the Flag Forgiven, not Capture the Flag Forbidden. That's exactly what Complexity were hoping for here. Can they get themselves back into this one? 9-0 versus Complexity. The more stats we show, the worse it looks for Complexity, I think.
Trying to work out how that works. If you've won 3-0, 3-0, 3-0. Oh, that's prior to this series. So now technically they would be 11.
Yeah.
Well,
there was a second there where you paused and your eyebrows went up when you were counting the extra 2. carry the one.
Yeah, 9 plus, yes, 11 works. Well, here we go, game 3. Can we see any sort of fight back from Complexity? Or is this just going to be a dominant, one-sided affair from the side of Shopify Rebellion? That's certainly been the expectation, but there is always the unknown element here in the HCS of anything could happen. We did see a memorable reverse comeback, a reverse sweep from Complexity in Pro League. But can they do it on the big stage?
I was going to suggest this is going to be the final nail in the coffin, but we've already mentioned burials, and I feel like we're being too morbid. That's just how it feels sometimes when you're watching Complexity up against some of these top teams. Cykul rips a face. But it's Complexity with hands on the flag, and they're starting to move it. Cykul's been an irritation in the base, but he's been finally cleared out. We're going to have a little bit of a flag standoff, it would seem, for a moment, but the return's going to come in pretty quickly. They're happy to let this one deteriorate by itself. Flag's going to try and send itself home. Still down in no man's land. Flag goes home then. And it's Shopify Rebellion threatening to push in the first and opening flag here. 2 go down for Complexity, and that means Rebellion open us up here, 1-0.
Such good patience as well from LastShot, not over-peaking, not taking too much of a fight, happy to sit back, keep that flag safe, and wait, bide his time, wait for that moment, and then delivers the first one in favor of Shopify Rebellion.
It never felt like that flag was in jeopardy. He was far too comfortable sitting there as long as he was.
And I think ever since that first snipe shot was hit by Cykul, Shopify Rebellion knew they had the advantage. It was just a matter of time. They just had to wait it out, but they didn't try and force anything. They made Complexity make the mistakes instead, and I think that's something that Shopify Rebellion do very well over and over again, is sometimes they find the weaknesses in their opponent and they say, look, we know that they're going to push here and maybe do something a little bit silly, and also, we have the advantage, we don't need to force it. Let's just watch them make the mistake and capitalize.
Sometimes doing nothing is the optimal play, waiting for your teammates, if your opponents to come close distance. Frosty shooting everything and anything, but just didn't seem to get a kill.
Hurt my ears a little bit. I'm still getting used to it. New gun being added, different carbine sound. Certainly it's good to look at.
It is
Feels
very
good
pretty.
to shoot as well, I will say. But LastShot is going to make another attempt at running this flag. KingNick's going to be the first target for Cykul. And he may have just done enough there. It's a distraction to allow LastShot to get around the corner.
That's one of those deaths that show up in the feed and you don't think much of it, but actually it's a very, very good death because it's meant a second flag capture for Shopify Rebellion.
RyaNoob was just about there, but not quite quick enough. And again, it was Cykul just taking a little bit of the attention away from the Complexity roster. LastShot says, thank you very much. I'll just whip round this corner. And it was pretty smooth sailing from that point. Now, with 9 minutes remaining, Shopify Rebellion only need 1 flag. And this is the situation I said you don't want to be in if you are Complexity. Because Shopify Rebellion now, if they wanted to, they could just control this map, play it out for 8 minutes. But I think we know full well that's not what they're going to do.
You said RyaNoob was not quite quick enough to get the stop. Do you think it's because of age that his knees just haven't got what they used to?
I don't know, I saw him playing some pickleball and that boy can still move.
He's got the movements. Speaking
Frosty,
of movements,
he's just taking that same position as Cykul did earlier as well. You're just a real nuisance in this kind of spot. But it's about picking when you get aggressive. As soon as you, again, notice a little bit of weakness, you've done a little bit of damage, it sometimes is your responsibility to start pulling the flag.
It's 2 dead for Complexity. And a lot of players in position to provide covering fire and escort this flag all the way home. A little bit of poke damage being done to Frosty, who's down to half shields, but LastShot gets a kill elsewhere. This one has been plain sailing from get-go. Frosty slams in the final flag. It's a clean sweep for Rebellion.
That is a dominant performance from Shopify Rebellion and is a statement of intent as they look to dominate their pool and move on into that championship bracket where I'm sure they will be happy to face anyone. And do remember, we've had quite some odd championship brackets across this year where some people have lost in certain pools and then Shopify Rebellion have had to play Optic Gaming in round 1 and all sorts. So Shopify Rebellion do need to be prepared to play anyone in round 1 because who knows who might be their opponent and who knows what might happen elsewhere. But one thing we do know, Shopify Rebellion, all smiles and all joy.
A routine victory for Shopify Rebellion, it must be said, and instead of harping on the lows of what we might have seen from Complexity and them just not being strong enough, for Rebellion, you said it was a statement of intent, and that's exactly what it is. This team is a championship caliber roster. We knew it for long enough, but now they started to find that flow and starting to find that form.
I think we'll learn more about Complexity when we see them against TSM. I think that is going to be a bit more of a matchup where we'll really know how far this Complexity roster can go this tournament. And it's also worth noting that it is just Friday, it is just pool play. There is a world where Complexity still could come back and maybe replay Shopify Rebellion and have a better series layout, because it was something that Des said, something I had noticed, terrible series layout for Complexity. The thing that does separate the best teams from the OK teams is just being good across the board at every map and mode. But there's some times where you just hit that sweet spot. You get the good 5 and you can cause an upset.
And it is that thing we spoke about at the start of the series, how Lattice was one of the first, the latest edition, and maybe some teams be under practice, it's an opportunity for Complexity. But as a matter of fact, because Shopify Rebellion, your optics, they're so good at the game that they learn the game quicker than almost anybody.
Like I said, you could put them on any map. You could make a brand new Forge map they've never played before, and 9 times out of 10, I would still trust Shopify Rebellion to win that one, because they are just unbelievable as a team, as a roster, just great chemistry.
And performance-wise, was there any players you looked at there that impressed you? You thought they look like they're trying to cause a little bit of an upset this event, or even just trying to impress some people?
I mean, who didn't impress me from Shopify Rebellion, to be completely honest? You could have switched onto any POV, and it looks like they are locked in, they're dialed in. There's no worries that it's Friday. Doesn't look like they take it slow. They're not a team who overlooks their opponent at all. They don't come into it a Friday under-practiced and not warmed up. They just say, look, we are going to beat the teams that are in front of us, and we're going to always show that we're the best in the world.
And it sounds to me like we are going straight back to the desk. No interview for the moment, but I don't mind listening to Snipe Down and Lottie and Tony break some things down.